Chapter 50-97. These are all poisonous powders. Bailey Hongzhuang's calm eyes were cold and serious. There was no trace of panic on her face. It would be difficult for her poison to poison people. After all, everyone was very cautious. Before they even got close, it was very likely that they would be discovered. However, when dealing with these demonic beasts, there was no need to worry about this. After all, the intelligence of these demonic beasts could not be compared to that of humans. Can this poison kill these demonic beasts? Everyone's eyes lit up. If this poison had such an effect, then everyone could breathe a sigh of relief. However, Bailey Hongzhuang shook her head. These demonic beasts are very strong. It won't be easy to poison them to death. Hearing this, everyone's eyes dimmed. If it couldn't kill the demonic beasts, then what was the point of using this poison powder? Although this poison powder can't kill the demonic beasts, it has a certain paralyzing effect. It can slow down the demonic beast's attack speed. It should be able to improve our situation. After hearing this, the gloomy crowd had a trace of hope. No matter what, as long as it could weaken the demonic beast's attack power, it was a good thing for them. Hongzhuang quickly tried it. Shangwan Yingying hurriedly said. Others might not know, but she had some understanding of Bailey Hongzhuang's poison techniques. Since she said so, then it proved that the effect was not weak. It would definitely be alleviated. Bailey Hongzhuang did not hesitate. The first thing she did was to scatter the poison powder. As long as it could give everyone a chance to breathe, it was excellent. Xiao Soa looked at Bailey Hongzhuang using the poison powder and did not have any expectations in her heart. At their level of strength, unless they had extraordinary poison techniques, it would be very difficult to achieve any effect. After the poison powder was used, everyone was looking forward to the effect. However, the demonic beast's attack power did not decrease at all, as if nothing had happened. Bailey Hongzhuang, your poison powder has no effect at all. Jun Lingxuan could not help but say, with a hint of annoyance and dissatisfaction. What are you mumbling about? If you have the ability, then find a way. Shangwan Yingying immediately retorted, her eyes filled with anger. I'm too lazy to talk to you. Just when everyone was sure that the poison powder didn't have any effect, they realized that the attack power of the demonic beast had indeed weakened a lot. It works. This poison powder is really effective. Everyone was pleasantly surprised. They keenly discovered that the demonic beast's eyes had become numb. Its limbs had also become stiff. Seeing this, everyone no longer hesitated and immediately unleashed their strongest battle strength. With such an opportunity, if he didn't kill the demonic beast as soon as possible, when would he get another chance? The sound of the fluctuation of yuan power continued to reverberate. The earth-shattering sound resounded, enveloping the entire area as if it was the end of the world. The corpses of the demonic beasts began to pile up with the defensive array as the center. The number was astonishing. However, compared to the endless demonic beasts behind them, this kind of progress did not make them feel any joy. Although the speed at which we kill the demonic beasts is fast, the speed at which our essence energy is consumed is also very fast. If this continues, we will only be exhausted to death in the end. Chun Feng had a complicated expression on his face. The situation before him was akin to an unsolvable puzzle. He simply couldn't find a way out. Chapter 50-98. Hearing Bewitching's words, Chun Feng nodded his head slightly. This was indeed the only method they could think of. However, with the current situation, they were unable to do anything else. The next second, he turned his head and looked at Bailey Hongzhuang. Miss Bailey, how much poison powder do you have on you? Can you still allow everyone to hold on for a bit longer? Bailey Hongzhuang immediately understood Chun Feng's thoughts. However, she shook her head helplessly. I don't have a lot of poison powder. I'm afraid I can only hold on for a while. However, to deal with this huge tree is not something that can be done in a short period of time. I'm afraid we won't be able to hold on until then. Bailey Hongzhuang's bright eyes were filled with seriousness. Facing this, she felt extremely helpless. As her cultivation increased, she understood that it was extremely difficult to use poison to deal with cultivators. Hence, she did not bring too much with her. No one had expected that they would encounter such a situation after entering the Immortal Cloud's secret realm. At this moment, it was too late for regrets. Hearing this, Chen Feng could not help but sigh. This was the best method he could think of at the moment. However, he was unable to implement it. After everyone found out that there was not much poison powder left, they felt despair in their hearts. Ever since they entered the Immortal Cloud's secret realm, everyone had been wandering around in despair. It was truly causing them to break down. The next moment, Bailey Hongzhuang's spiritual sense surged as her hands formed seals without stop. One after another, complex and mysterious hand seals quietly appeared. Master, noticing Bailey Hongzhuang's hand seals, Xiaohei immediately realized what her master was doing. This was her master's trump card. If it was any other time, she would not be willing to reveal it so early in front of others. There is no other way now. No matter what, it's good to hold on for a while longer. Bailey Hongzhuang's expression was solemn. She had already used up all the poison powder in her hands. It was likely that she would not be able to hold on for more than an incense's time. After an incense's time, everyone would fall into despair. At this time, how could she still care about hiding her trump card? When the others saw Bailey Hongzhuang's actions, they were also puzzled. Even if she wanted to attack, she should be standing at the periphery. Why was Bailey Hongzhuang standing at the center and using her hand seals? Only Xiao Shou and Jun Lingxuan immediately understood what was going on. Last time, they had also seen Bailey Hongzhuang use such a hand seal. That gigantic Qilin lion beast was like a nightmare to them. Even now, they still had lingering fears. Just as everyone was feeling puzzled, a door that seemed to have come from hell appeared before them. Black and crimson light intertwined, exuding a profound and strange aura. The endless, mysterious aura instantly attracted everyone's attention. What method is this? Nangong Yuqing was puzzled. The door in front of him was solid and didn't look like it was made of elemental energy. Even though the images they conjured with their origin energy were very realistic, there was still a gap between them and the current situation. Just as everyone was secretly guessing, a beastly roar suddenly came from the tightly shut door. Then, the door suddenly opened. A majestic Qilin lion beast appeared in front of everyone's eyes. Its huge body exuded endless majesty. It was like a primordial beast with an incomparably tyrannical strength. Just one look was enough to make people feel fear. Chapter 5099. Qilin. It's actually a Qilin. Everyone cried out in alarm. Although they only knew the description of the Qilin, they had never seen it with their own eyes. However, at this moment, as they looked at the majestic and huge demonic beast in front of them, they were able to recognize it immediately. Heavens! Bailey Hongzhuang actually has a Qilin? That's too scary. That's impossible. Bailey Hongzhuang clearly has a contracted beast. Furthermore, from the way I see it, it doesn't seem like it came out from the contracted space. After a short moment of shock, everyone recovered from their shock. Their eyes were filled with contemplation. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they would have found it hard to believe. However, even if they had seen it with their own eyes, the doubt in their hearts wouldn't disappear. Numerous gazes of admiration landed on Bailey Hongzhuang. Just from the aura she was emitting, it was clear that she had reached the high level of the nebula realm. Such a contracted beast was simply everyone's dream. When Chu Yingming and Nangong Yuqing saw the Qilin, their hearts chilled. Fortunately, when Bailey Hongzhuang fought with them, she didn't use this ability. Otherwise, how could they be her match? How could they be Bailey Hongzhuang's match? Just this Qilin lion alone was enough to completely crush them. The gap between the two was too big. Who would have thought that Bailey Hongzhuang would have such a trump card? With this, among all the cultivators who had entered the Immortal Cloud secret domain, there was no one who could be Bailey Hongzhuang's match. Chen Feng stared blankly at this scene. Suddenly, a thought appeared in his mind. A taboo technique. Taboo techniques were known as taboo due to their extreme power. These taboo techniques were usually in the hands of a small number of cultivators. They had only read about them in books, but had never seen them before. As far as he knew, taboo techniques had disappeared many years ago. Similar to taboo cultivation methods, they had long disappeared from everyone's sight. He was sure that this Qilin wasn't Bailey Hongzhuang's demonic beast. Otherwise, she wouldn't have needed to use her hand seal. Therefore, he was sure that this was a taboo technique. When Chun Feng thought of this possibility, a trace of astonishment appeared in Chu Yingming's eyes. Could this be a forbidden technique? His cold voice was filled with shock and disbelief. Even though he was the one speaking, he was still doubting his own guess. As Chu Yingming's voice fell, the confused crowd seemed to have found a breakthrough point and immediately understood. That's right, this must be a forbidden technique. Only a taboo technique can be so powerful. Otherwise, Bailey Hongzhuang would never have such a contract beast. I heard that taboo techniques are connected to taboo techniques. Since Bailey Hongzhuang is able to use taboo techniques, it proves that the technique she practices is a taboo technique. Everyone looked at Bailey Hongzhuang in shock. When they thought of the various powerful displays that Bailey Hongzhuang had displayed, they immediately understood. Why was Bailey Hongzhuang so outstanding even though she came from the lower realm? How could she learn so many abilities at the same time? This was something that no one could understand. However, after thinking about the taboo cultivation technique, they suddenly figured it out. Chapter 5100. It's rumored that the taboo technique has long disappeared. How did it fall into Bailey Hongzhuang's hands? For a moment, everyone looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with fervent gazes. This kind of method was really too enviable. Di Xiaofeng and the rest were also astonished. Previously, when they heard from Di Beichen and Mo Yunjue that Bailey Hongzhuang defeated the joint forces of Xiao Shou and the rest, they didn't believe it and thought it was a joke. Now that they saw such means, they understood that everything before was true. Such talent and strength were truly too terrifying. Facing everyone's gazes, Bailey Hongzhuang didn't spare any attention to pay attention to them. With a thought, the Qilin Lion received her command and started to deal with the demonic beast together with everyone else. Everyone, don't be distracted. The most important thing now is to kill the demonic beasts. Chun Feng reminded everyone. Due to the Qilin Lion's appearance being too shocking, a lot of cultivators were distracted. In this short period of time, several cultivators were injured. Everyone had to regain their senses as soon as possible. Otherwise, once the number of casualties increased, it would only be more troublesome. Hearing this, everyone also regained their senses. No matter how envious Bailey Hongzhuang's taboo technique was, they had to at least survive. After Bailey Hongzhuang summoned the Qilin Lion, she didn't stop there. She was still trying to summon other demonic beasts. Now, her cultivation had increased compared to before. Her spiritual energy had also increased a lot. Therefore, she still had the ability to summon another demonic beast. However, this demonic beast was naturally inferior to the Qilin Lion. Next, under everyone's gaze, a huge centipede appeared. After the first shock, everyone calmed down. However, they felt more and more that Bailey Hongzhuang was powerful and terrifying. No wonder she didn't care about the position of the Holy Maiden. With her strength, everyone could imagine that it wouldn't be long before she reached a height that everyone could only look up to. Abnormal. This was simply too abnormal. With the appearance of the two demonic beasts, everyone immediately felt that the situation was more relaxed than before. After all, the Qilin Lion was so powerful that it could wipe out a whole area the moment it appeared. This kind of hunting speed of demonic beasts was many times faster than theirs. Seeing that the situation was turning for the better, a trace of joy appeared on everyone's faces. When they looked at Bailey Hongzhuang and the rest again, they felt that these people were like an inexhaustible treasure. Every time they were in trouble, they could always come up with a better solution. If it wasn't for Di Beichen and Bailey Hongzhuang, they would have died. They wouldn't be able to hold on until now. If we can survive this time, If anyone dares to have any greedy thoughts towards Bailey Hongzhuang, I will be the first to punish them." Chun Feng's firm and resolute voice resounded in everyone's ears with a warning. He understood that if the situation was not too urgent, Bailey Hongzhuang would not be willing to reveal this secret in front of everyone. This was too enviable was too. Once this was spread out, it would bring Bailey Hongzhuang a lot of trouble. Therefore, regardless of whether his warning was effective or not, he had to make his stance clear. This was his decision. Chapter 5101. Along with Chun Feng's words, even the expressions of those who were in the midst of battle changed slightly. However, soon, everyone understood Chun Feng's intention. That's right. If it weren't for them, we wouldn't even be able to keep our lives. If anyone still dares to make a move against them, then they're truly worse than pigs and dogs. Yeah, they were the ones who saved our lives previously. As long as we can leave this place alive, no matter what, I will owe the D family a huge favor. The cultivators from the various powers expressed their opinions one after another. Although they had always been living in an environment where benefits were valued, at least they still had some humanity left in them. Regardless of whether the other party had saved them on purpose or not, it was a fact that they had been saved. This was not only due to the numerous dangers they were currently facing. A lot of them had already received the favor of Bailey Hongzhuang and the others when they were still in the Radiant Ruins. It was just that they had never said it out loud all this while. Now that they heard Chun Feng's suggestion, the conscience in their hearts was awakened. The methods displayed by Bailey Hongzhuang were indeed very tempting. However, at least during this period of time, if they were to covet Bailey Hongzhuang's methods and make a move against him, it would truly be inexcusable. After one or two cultivators expressed their opinions, the other cultivators also expressed their opinions one after another. Emotions had always influenced each other. In a short period of time, all the cultivators had the same thoughts. After Jun Lingxuan and the others heard what everyone said, their expressions became unsightly. They were already enemies with Deep Beichen and the others. Previously, they had been hoping to kill them as soon as possible. Now that they saw Bailey Hongzhuang's methods, they naturally wanted to get their hands on this taboo art as soon as possible. However, all the cultivators had already expressed their opinions. If they still persisted with their previous thoughts, they would definitely be spurned by everyone. Hence, they could only maintain their silence. Chu Yingming's expression was flickering. He understood in his heart that no matter how one looked at it, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others had helped them. However, who asked them to be their opponents? He regretted joining forces with Jun Lingxuan and the others to deal with Deep Beichen back then, which led to the current situation. After Bailey Hongzhuang summoned the two demon beasts, the situation of the battle turned for the better. Everyone relaxed a lot. Of course, this was only relative. The attacks of the demonic beasts were equally ferocious. The cultivators had to fend off the demonic beasts from all directions. Everything seemed to have returned to how it was in the past. He was constantly hunting demonic beasts and raising his cultivation at the same time. However, the situation didn't improve for long. The giant tree seemed to realize that it couldn't achieve its goal and suddenly became angry. That's right, he was furious. Even though the tree didn't do anything, everyone could clearly feel the change in the tree's mood. It was dissatisfied and expressed its feelings through the chant. Immediately after, everyone realized that the tree's chanting had become even louder. It carried an incomparably manic aura, and the entire sky seemed to have become oppressive. Seeing this, everyone couldn't help but reveal a trace of fear on their faces. The giant tree's singing was too frightening. Even they felt that their emotions were affected. The demonic beasts seemed to have gone mad, and their attacks became even more terrifying. No one doubted that, as long as they were distracted for a moment, they would be torn to pieces in an instant. Chapter 5102. This tree wants all of us to die here. Even if I have to die, I will chop this tree down. Everyone's eyes were filled with hatred. If it weren't for this tree, they wouldn't have ended up in such a state. Obviously, This tree was waiting for them to die so that it could absorb their blood essence. Therefore, when it saw that their situation was getting better, it started thinking of ways to provoke the madness of these beasts. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes were filled with anger as well. This huge tree was too evil. It wanted to kill all of them here. Even if they didn't know what had happened in the past, it was easy to guess that a lot of cultivators had died at the hands of this huge tree. Previously, it had used its pure and holy appearance to attract everyone's worship. After gaining everyone's trust, it started attacking them. This feeling was as if it had been treating them like toys, toying with them in the palm of its hand all along. Previously, we actually worshipped this tree so much. Now that I think about it, I feel that we were extremely stupid. Shangwan Yingying couldn't help but curse. She really wanted to destroy this tree. However, the current situation made her realize that it was already extremely difficult to defend against the attacks of these beasts, let alone this tree. We can't go on like this. Even with the Qilin lion, we won't be able to hold on for long. In their line of sight, although the Qilin lion's combat power was still extremely shocking, everyone could clearly feel that the Qilin lion's elemental energy was depleting at an extremely fast speed. Not only that, the chanting was clearly reducing the Qilin lion's combat power. The moment the Qilin lion's elemental energy was exhausted, they would be in an extremely miserable state. Bailey Hongzhuang frowned. At this moment, she really couldn't think of any solution. Die here? She would never accept that. An indescribable feeling of despair enveloped everyone's heart. At this moment, there was really no hope left. Many cultivators shifted their gaze to Di Beichun and Bailey Hongzhuang. However, they also understood that Bailey Hongzhuang and the rest had already done their best. At this moment, what else could they do to change the situation? Chun Feng and the rest sank into silence. As the strongest cultivator here, his combat power was indeed not weak. Even so, it was impossible for them to break through this group of demonic beasts. At this moment, everyone suddenly felt an oppressive force erupting from Di Beichun's body. Sensing this power, everyone immediately understood that this was the power of darkness. This power was deep and oppressive, causing everyone's hearts to become heavy for no reason. Then, they watched as Di Beichun continued to use the power of darkness, but they did not understand what he was trying to do. In fact, although everyone had always known about the existence of dark energy, they had very little contact with it. Not for any other reason, but because everyone rejected the power of darkness. Normally, practitioners of the power of darkness would not reveal their attributes, and it was even more impossible for them to see the other party use it. Every time a dark energy cultivator appeared, they would be suppressed or even hunted down by others. Not only that, but because the inheritance of the power of darkness had been lost for many years, the combat power of darkness cultivators was not strong. Chapter 5103. Now that they saw Di Beichun display his dark force, they didn't have much expectations. After all, the dark force inheritance had disappeared for so many years, so it was impossible for Di Beichun to have a deep understanding of it. Even though everyone knew that dark attribute cultivators were extremely powerful existences in the past, that was only in the historical records. In reality, it was impossible. Bailey Hongzhuang stared at Di Beichun's actions. The moment he made his move, she had already guessed Di Beichun's plan. Di Beichun flipped his hands, and a round ball of dark force appeared between his hands. It constantly rotated, revealing a profound and mysterious aura. With the appearance of this black ball, everyone felt the aura become more and more condensed, and for some reason, it became heavy. I wonder what Di Beichun is doing. Nangong Yuqing raised his eyebrows. He had never seen such a method before. Who cares what he's doing? Jun Lingshuan rolled his eyes. Let's not talk about the fact that the dark force is useless. Even if his dark force isn't weak, the martial skill he's using now won't be of much use. Can it kill all these demonic beasts? As soon as these words came out, everyone's heart sank. Indeed, no matter what kind of martial skill Di Beichun displayed at this moment, unless it could kill all of the monsters in front of them, it wouldn't have much of an effect. On the contrary, Bewitching would lose even more yuanli. When the black ball in Bewitching's hand rotated to the extreme, he suddenly bit the tip of his tongue, and a drop of blood essence shot out and merged with the black ball. As the drop of blood essence fused into the black ball, a trace of red color suddenly appeared. This drop of blood essence was like the finishing touch, dyeing the originally dark ball with a blood-red light. The blood-red light was like lightning, constantly shuttling back and forth within the ball. Then, everyone felt an incomparably powerful aura emerge from the black ball. The wind whistled, and the world seemed to darken. The black sphere contained an incomparably shocking and bizarre power, attracting everyone's attention. Inexplicably, everyone only felt that this energy ball was extremely terrifying. The aura produced by it gave them an indescribable feeling of palpitations. Bewitching stood in the middle of the crowd. His white robe seemed to have been dyed black. The wind blew past his face, and his black hair fluttered in the wind. He was mysterious and beautiful. At this moment, he was like the god of darkness. He possessed the most mysterious and powerful power in the world, shocking everyone. Then, with the movement of Bewitching's hands and the chanting of Sanskrit, a wisp of energy shot out from the black ball and entered the ground. Wisps of black smoke rose from the ground, and everyone looked at this scene in shock. If Bailey Hongzhuang's taboo technique had already shocked them, then Bewitching's actions had shocked them from the bottom of their hearts. This was a mysterious power that they had never encountered before, and it made them submit to it from the bottom of their hearts. In the next moment, everyone felt the ground squirm, and a dense dark energy emerged from the ground. What is Bewitching doing? Nangong Yuqing's eyes widened, and his voice trembled. It was too terrifying. Everything Bewitching did was too terrifying. Chapter 5104. It wasn't just Nangong Yuqing. Everyone present had the same thought in their minds. This Bewitching was simply an invincible existence. Xiao Shou stared blankly at Bewitching in the middle of the crowd. That fierce and intimidating aura made people not even have the courage to look up at him. He was like a god of war. Just one look was enough to destroy everything. Di Xiaofeng and the others also looked at this scene in disbelief. They never knew that Bewitching had such a trump card. Xiaofeng, you've hit it too deeply, haven't you? Murong Jing's face stiffened. Just based on Bewitching's means, your D family can become a first-class family in the future. Although it wasn't easy for such a huge family to be strengthened or weakened, in the end, it was still a matter of strength. With the strength that Bewitching and Bailey Hongzhuang had shown, even if they weren't a match for some old monsters now, as long as they were given enough time, once they developed, they would be completely abnormal existences in the future. Who dared to touch a single hair of the D family? Wasn't that tantamount to courting death? I'm not hiding this from you. This is the first time I've heard of it. Di Xiaofeng swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Even if he was usually indifferent, when faced with such a situation, it was difficult for him to control his expression. Really? Murong Jing was dumbfounded. Even you don't know? Why would I lie to you about this kind of thing? Do you think I'm faking it? Di Xiaofeng's voice contained a trace of roar, but it was more of a surprise. The stronger Bewitching was, the better the D family's future would be. This was naturally what he was most happy to see. His own little brother was actually such a powerful existence. If his father and mother saw this scene, they would be even more surprised. As the wisp of black gas spread out from the ground, under the shocked gazes of countless people, skeletons climbed up from the ground one by one. Skeletons, so many skeletons. Heavens, why are there so many skeletons here? I've heard that dark attribute cultivators can summon skeletons. Could it be that Bewitching is summoning an army of skeletons to deal with these demon beasts? Soon, everyone had already connected the dots to Bewitching's motive for doing this. It was obviously not enough to rely on their own abilities to deal with these demonic beasts. In a group battle, the number of people was the most important. If Bewitching could summon an army of skeletons, then this situation could really be alleviated. Beichen's face gradually turned pale. Even though his strength had increased, it was still extremely difficult for him to summon such a large number of skeletons. Even if he used his essence blood, it would be extremely difficult for him to continue. When Xiaobai saw this, she immediately transferred the dark energy in her body into the dark sphere in Beichen's hands. There must be enough dark energy in order to summon more skeletons. At the same time, Bailey Hongzhuang quietly approached Beichen, and the dark energy in her body also quietly flowed into the sphere. Xiao hated the same, but it and Bailey Hongzhuang's movements were very secretive. Dual attributes, such a talent, they did not want to expose it to others for the time being. Fortunately, Beichen only sent out dark energy. At this time, no one would notice Bailey Hongzhuang's situation at all. Chapter 5105. As Bailey Hongzhuang and the two demonic beasts' dark energy poured in, the energy in the light ball became more and more intense. As a result, more and more skeletons appeared from the ground, and their numbers increased. It wasn't until the power of the light ball had completely dissipated that Beichen stopped. With just a command, all the skeleton army surrounded Beichen and the others and began to deal with the demonic beasts outside. This was a battle between the skeleton army and the demonic beasts. The most important thing was that these skeletons were not weak at all. Not only were they not defeated by the demonic beasts, they even had some advantages. Seeing this scene, everyone couldn't help but have a trace of joy on their faces. In the past, when they saw the skeleton army, they only had fear in their hearts. Only now, when they saw the skeleton army, their hearts were filled with joy. At this moment, in their eyes, these skeletons not only did not have the usual evil and gloomy horror, but on the contrary, these skeletons were angels that brought them hope. Beichen, how did you do it? Di Xiaofeng looked at Beichen in surprise. With the appearance of the skeleton army, they no longer had to hide in the defensive array like before. On the contrary, because of the attack of the skeleton army, their place became more spacious. It's all thanks to Hongzhuang's reminder. Beichen breathed a sigh of relief. Although his handsome face was slightly pale because of overexertion, he was more relaxed. I reminded you? Bailey Hongzhuang was a little surprised. She didn't think about this at all. Beichen nodded slightly. You said before that this tree is so evil. I'm afraid that many talented cultivators have fallen here in the past. I thought that if so many cultivators had fallen here, then there must be a lot of bones buried here. So I tried to use the dark energy to summon the skeleton army. Listening to Beichen's explanation, everyone understood. Beichen, you're really amazing. Shangguan Yinging gave a thumbs up. If it weren't for you, we would all have died here today. Yeah, I didn't expect the power of darkness to be so strong. Lin Yi's eyes flashed with admiration. Cousin, you have completely changed my view of dark attribute cultivators. This is amazing. Jun Lingxuan and the others stared blankly at Beichen, feeling their throats dry up. Such a person was actually their opponent. How can you use the power of darkness to such a level? Chu Yingming looked at Beichen in disbelief. The inheritance of the power of darkness had already disappeared for so many years. Logically speaking, no one should have grasped it. Over the years, the power of darkness had declined and was almost gone. When he found out that Beichen was a darkness attribute cultivator, he felt that Beichen was no threat to him at all. However, the current situation made him realize that the other party was an extremely terrifying existence. Beichen faintly glanced at Chu Yingming, but did not pay attention to him. Are you stupid? Why would I tell you this kind of thing? Xiren rolled his eyes and looked at Chu Yingming as if he was looking at a fool. This technique was naturally a secret. Ugh. Chapter 5106. This is the power and terror of the power of darkness. Xiao Sou's face was pale. In the past, she had only heard of the huge impact caused by the dark attribute cultivators hundreds of years ago. However, because it didn't happen in front of her eyes, she didn't think too much about it. Only at this moment, after seeing it for herself, did she understand how terrifying it was. Such an ability was simply beyond her understanding. To be able to summon so many skeleton armies to fight for him, how could ordinary cultivators be his opponent? No wonder the power of darkness is not tolerated. Such an ability is really unacceptable. Hearing Xiao Sou's words, Lin Xianxian stood out immediately, her fair and pretty face full of dissatisfaction. Xiao Sou, what nonsense are you talking about? This tree has always been emitting the power of light. Isn't it also evil? What's so great about the light attribute? Why should the light attribute be sought, after while Beichun should be despised by everyone, because he's a dark attribute cultivator? That's right. Shangguan Yingying stood out as well. Don't forget, if it wasn't for the skeleton army summoned by Beichun, you would have become a corpse by now. Xiao Sou looked at Lin Xianxian and Shangguan Yingying blankly. Such words were indeed hard for her to refute. At this moment, everyone's gazes gradually changed. Indeed, before this, everyone believed that this tree was a divine tree. However, later on, they understood that everything before this tree was just a facade. In fact, it was so dark. Who can guarantee that the light attribute cultivators are all good people? Di Xiaofeng raised his voice. Using a pole to kill an entire boat of people, isn't this too biased? That's true. Weren't the ruins we went to previously also filled with the power of light? In the end, didn't we almost lose our lives there? Although this power of darkness seems somewhat sinister, its effect is to save all of us. Everyone was discussing animatedly. Their original opinions were also subtly influenced by this and began to change. In my opinion, this power itself is not divided into good and bad. It only depends on the nature of the cultivator who controls the power. Chen Feng's voice resounded. His eyes were shining with wisdom. He had never had any prejudice against the dark attribute. Power was just power. It didn't have any attributes. How it could be used depended on the cultivator. It was only because of the way in which the power was displayed that they were repelled, which was very one-sided. You're right. Didn't Di Beichen help us? Murong Jing nodded. Xiao Sou's expression changed when she saw that everyone was speaking up for Di Beichen. As a cultivator of the Holy Light Assembly, this view was deeply ingrained in her heart. In her opinion, this should be the understanding of every cultivator. However, the current situation made her understand that not everyone thought the same way. Even if she wanted to refute, in the face of so many mouths, it was obviously useless. Beichun, let's take advantage of the fact that the skeleton army is able to resist the demonic beasts to chop down this tree. Di Xiaofeng's eyes flickered with a resolute light. It was all because of this damnable tree that he almost lost his life here. Chapter 5107. Following Di Xiaofeng's words, everyone's eyes lit up. That's right, this tree is so evil. If we don't chop it down now, who knows how many cultivators will lose their lives here in the future. Not everyone was as lucky as them to be able to meet Di Beichen and Bailey Hongzhuang. In fact, if it weren't for Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen in this team, they wouldn't have been able to survive even if they had a few lives. One of them had forbidden techniques and was good at medicine, while the other had mastered the power of darkness and was good at formations. Apart from the two of them, it was really difficult to find such an outstanding person. In the next moment, everyone immediately rushed towards the giant tree. They only had the opportunity to do so when the skeleton army was blocking the monsters. Otherwise, no one knew what the tree would do in the next moment. Because of this tree, they had already suffered a few losses. After seeing everyone's eyes filled with murderous intent, the giant tree began to panic. Its thick and flexible vines continuously attacked, blocking everyone from approaching. However, everyone who hated this tree to the extreme did not care about such obstacles at all. They helped each other and quickly approached. Ding, ding, ding. The sound of metal continuously rang out as the vines were cut down by everyone's weapons. As the number of vines decreased, everyone realized that the giant tree's chanting had also become softer. This tree is really intelligent. It can't be that it thinks that as long as it stops chanting, we can pretend that nothing happened before, right? When Zyron's eyes were filled with surprise. Such a smart tree was really unheard of. Unfortunately, it's all too late now. Mo Yunjue's eyes were cold. What was the point of keeping such an evil thing if not destroying it? In the next moment, Mo Yunjue directly slashed at the giant tree with his sword. A faint wail rang out. Then, Mo Yunjue realized that the wound he stabbed was actually bleeding. Seeing this scene, Mo Yunjue's eyes narrowed. This was also the first time he had seen such a situation. This tree is really strange. It makes my hair stand on end. Shang Wanning couldn't help but rub her arms. This situation was too scary. She even felt that this tree was not a tree at all, but a person. Don't worry so much, just cut it off. Lin Taxing looked determined. The weirder the giant tree behaved, the more he felt that he should not keep it. The giant tree let out a blood-curdling scream, but no one held back. Blood kept flowing out of the giant tree's wound, but it reminded everyone of the blood the giant tree had absorbed over the years. Trees were supposed to have no blood, but it was bleeding so much. These were probably the cultivators who had died at its hands. Thinking of this, everyone felt even more hateful. Just a little bit more, and all of them would have become sacrifices for this tree. Creak. Boom. Under the rapid cutting of the trees, the giant tree was finally pushed down. After pushing it, everyone discovered that the tree suddenly turned into specks of light and disappeared into the air. Everyone looked at each other, not understanding what was going on. Chapter 5108. A group of beastkins looked at the scene in front of them in confusion. They didn't seem to understand why they were here, nor did they know what happened before. Soon, the beastkins retreated one after another. Without the summon of the giant tree, they had no reason to continue to stay here. Seeing the group of monstrous beasts retreat, everyone couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Their tense bodies suddenly relaxed. Oh my God, it's finally sunny after the rain. Sure enough, cutting down this tree is the only way to break through. Chen Feng looked at Di Beichun with a smile on his handsome face. Di Beichun raised the corners of his lips slightly and nodded with a faint smile. I have never encountered such a terrible situation since I was born. Now I can finally rest. The cultivators didn't care that there were many corpses of beastkins on the ground. They sat on the ground one after another, looking at the blue sky and white clouds. The corners of their lips couldn't help but rise. Just a little bit more, and they would never see tomorrow's sun again. After the crisis was resolved, Di Beichun also lifted the summon. Suddenly, a group of skeletons returned to the ground again. If it weren't for the corpses of beastkins all over the ground and the smell of blood spreading in the air, it was as if nothing had happened. I have been looking forward to coming to this immortal cloud secret realm to gain experience before. Now I feel that this place is really terrible. If I had a choice, I wouldn't come here even if I was beaten to death. Lin Yi shrugged. Even if everything was over now, she still felt a lingering fear. Thinking about it, I'm afraid many people can't forget what happened these days. Unfortunately, there is no regret medicine in this world. Lin Xianqian put one hand on Lin Yi's shoulder. Speaking of which, we have also gained a lot of knowledge this time, right? That's true. Lin Yi nodded with a smile. Then she looked at Bailey Hongzhuang and said, second cousin-in-law, I really admire you guys more and more now. With you guys protecting me in the future, I don't have to worry about someone bullying me. No one dares to bully you on normal days. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled lightly. Almost everyone sat down and rested. They had only been in the immortal cloud mystic realm for a few months, but they felt as though they had been here for a few lifetimes. At this moment, everyone suddenly noticed that at the place where the giant tree disappeared, there was a bright light shining. Dense light energy spread out like the sun, dazzling and eye-catching. Faint bright light energy poured down on everyone, giving off a holy and inviolable aura. In a short period of time, everyone discovered that the injuries on their bodies had been healed. It's light energy again. I'm really afraid of the power of light now. Who knows what dangers will appear in the future? Nothing good happens every time I encounter the power of light. The successive incidents had made everyone fearful. Even though the light energy in front of them had healed their injuries, no one was overly grateful. After all, they had experienced the same thing when the tree was still around. Once bitten by a snake, twice shy. This was exactly the situation they were in now. Look, there's a palace in front of us. As the voice rang out, everyone was surprised to find that a huge palace had appeared before them. Chapter 5109. This must be the original owner's ruins. Bailey Hongzhuang's pitch-black, phoenix-like eyes glowed with joy. The corners of her lips curled into a small, lotus-like smile. Her already delicate features became even more dazzling. Previously, she had been searching for the original owner's ruins. When she had been surrounded by the school of fishes, she had sensed that the ruins were here based on the stone's reaction. However, when she had seen the giant tree, she had looked around but could not find any trace of the ruins. She had felt suspicious about this. She never thought that the ruins would only appear after the giant tree had disappeared. Bewitching glanced at Bailey Hongzhuang and nodded with a smile. That should be the case. Did the stone sense anything? Yes. Her clear eyes were filled with joy. Bailey Hongzhuang's voice was gentle but filled with excitement. Actually, the place that the stone sensed was here. It's just that I haven't been able to find it. Xiao He and Xiao Bai could not hide the joy on their faces when they saw this. All this while they had lost some of their memories. Now, they only hope that they can find their memories in the ruins. Only then would they be able to find their true selves. Even the white dragon could not help but feel overjoyed when he heard this news. Have you really found it? That's right, we found it. That's great. A gigantic palace stood impressively in their line of sight. A rich light energy spread from the center of the palace. However, this was not the most eye-catching thing. Instead, they were shocked to find that the ruins were intertwined in black and white. Not only was there light energy, but there was also an aura of darkness energy. The black and white palace was unique in its own way. It had an unfamiliar yet unique beauty. The majestic and mighty aura was even more shocking. Seeing this monument, Bailey Hongzhuang was no stranger to it. The palace in her chaos ring had the same style as the ruins before her eyes. Hence, she was even more certain that her chaos ring was an inheritance from the original owner. She never thought that they would be so fated to meet. Then, the group could not be bothered to rest as they immediately approached the palace. They could feel the light energy from the palace. This feeling was exactly the same as the one they had felt from the giant tree. Bailey Hongzhuang felt the power of light, and a thought suddenly appeared in her mind. Beichen, do you think it's possible that the source of light energy was this palace and not that tree? Hearing this, Beichen's eyes showed a hint of contemplation, but he nodded as if he suddenly understood. It's very possible. Perhaps it was because the ruins were here, and because there was a concealment array set up, only a little light was released, and that was why the aura was leaked. Because of the nourishment from the power of light, the tree was able to grow into such a huge monster. I didn't feel the slightest bit of light energy when I was chopping down the tree. So it's just a fox borrowing the tiger's might. Xiren suddenly understood. If that's the case, then everything makes sense. Shangguan Yingying sighed. Say, do you think this ruin will be the same as the one we saw before? Di Xiaofeng's eyes were filled with caution and dread. After coming into contact with such things one after another, it was really difficult to remain calm. Chapter 5110. I think there is no such thing as a free lunch in this immortal cloud's secret realm. It's better to be careful. Looking at the black and white palace in front of them, everyone looked at it carefully with a little expectation and a little fear. Although they were lucky enough to escape from the previous crisis, No one knew if their good luck could continue. If it happened again, they might not be able to keep their lives anymore. Xiao Sou felt the rich light power, and she was very sure that this was the purest light power. Although she didn't know what the light relic mentioned before was, she was sure that the master of the relic was absolutely incomparable to the master of the relic in front of her. However, she didn't understand one thing at all. Why does this light power relic have a dark aura? Light and darkness. These were two completely opposite attributes. Listening to Xiao Sou's words, Lin Qianqian also had a hint of ridicule in her eyes. She immediately said, "Xiao Sou, didn't you say that light power and dark power are incompatible? Then why do these two attributes exist in this relic?" "Yeah, you said before that my second cousin-in-law and second cousin would delay her future. But look at this relic. It's completely different from what you said." Lin Yi looked at Xiao Sou. Her slightly raised eyebrows were full of ridicule and disdain. She disliked this girl the most. It's fine that she couldn't enter the eyes of her second cousin, but she still tried to find a way out for herself by belittling her second cousin. It was really hateful. Light and darkness are incompatible, Xiao Sou emphasized. "Then, can you explain it?" Xiao Sou opened her mouth, but she didn't say anything in the end. This situation was really beyond her understanding, so she didn't know how to explain it. "You can't explain it, right?" Shangguan Yingying rolled her eyes. "In my opinion, you are just ignorant." "Hey, how can you say that?" Xiao Sudong couldn't help but retort. "My elder sister is the next holy maiden of light. How can you say that she is ignorant?" "So what if I say she is ignorant?" Shangguan Yingying crossed her arms in front of her chest, looking fearless. "Didn't she say that the power of darkness is not accepted? This building is the best proof. Maybe this ruin is the same as the previous one, and it's meant to harm people." Jun Lingshuan suddenly said, shielding Xiao Sou behind him. Shangguan Yingying frowned when she heard that. She hadn't expected that either. What if it isn't? When Xiren saw that someone dared to diss his wife, so he was naturally the first to stand up. "How do we know now?" Jun Lingshuan looked a little embarrassed. Obviously, there was no point in continuing to argue. The most important thing was that once they had a disagreement, they were not the opponents of Di Beichun and the others. As they approached the ruins, they realized that the entrance to the ruins was locked. "This ruin is locked. Since it's not locked, it means that we can't enter at all. It's useless for us to just watch. Why don't we try to break in by force?" Everyone looked at each other and finally decided to try it together. Even with the previous trauma, it still couldn't offset the temptation of the ruins. Chapter 5111. Bailey Hongzhuang quietly looked at the black stone in her hand. From the moment she got close to this place, the stone gave off a strong response. The key was in her hand. Should she open this ruin now? Bailey Hongzhuang subconsciously looked at Di Beichun. She believed that without the key, it would be useless even if everyone tried to break through. As long as they waited for the other cultivators to give up and leave, they would be able to enter on their own. Di Beichun gave Bailey Hongzhuang a look, indicating for her not to make a move for now and to wait for a while. Bailey Hongzhuang understood. Since they were already here, there was indeed no need to rush. Boom, boom, boom. One powerful attack after another landed on the door, but the door didn't budge at all. Seeing this scene, everyone could not help but sigh. Sure enough, this situation was not beyond their expectations. "Looks like it's useless." Jun Lingshuan sighed. "Do we have to continue waiting here?" Continuing to wait might not be useful. Xiao Sudong was a little helpless. Not every ruin is the same. Everyone looked at each other. Many cultivators began to try to find the mechanism. Perhaps the owner of the ruin hid the key nearby. After all, they did not believe that anyone would have the key. Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichun already understood the situation, so naturally, they did not need to look around like everyone else. All they needed to do was wait. Wait for everyone to give up and leave. However, judging from everyone's eagerness, it was obvious that they would not leave in a short time. Fortunately, the rich energy around the palace was also very beneficial to them. Cultivating here would yield twice the result with half the effort. Even if they had to cultivate here for a while, there was nothing bad about it. Di Xiaofeng and the others saw that Di Beiqin and Bailey Hongzhuang did not care and sighed in their hearts. These two people were too calm. In the face of such temptation, they were not moved at all. If it were them, they would not be able to do this. Just as everyone was trying their best to find a way in, two bridges suddenly appeared in everyone's line of sight. Two bridges, one black and one white, appeared in front of the ruins. Then, everyone found that their bodies were brought to the back by a strange force. What's going on? Everyone was stunned. The sudden change made them puzzled. Do we have to cross these two bridges to get in? Lin Taxing could not help guessing. The gate of the relic is at the end of the bridge. But we can reach the gate if we just walk through it, Ao Lingxiao said doubtfully. At this moment, there were already cultivators who tried to walk across the bridge without crossing it. However, when they got close, they realized that there was an invisible barrier blocking them from getting any closer. We can't cross. The cultivator looked depressed. Looks like we can only cross these two bridges. Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichun looked at each other. They immediately stood up and approached the bridge. Of course, when they got closer, more cultivators had already scrambled onto the bridge. However, when many cultivators stood in front of the bridge, they found that they could not cross it at all. Why can't we get on the bridge? Chapter 51:12. For a moment, everyone was completely dumbfounded. Even if they couldn't find the key before, at least they knew what they had to do. But now, this sudden change left them scratching their heads. Xiao Soa looked at the wide white bridge in front of her, her eyes flashing with anticipation and excitement. From the moment she felt the light energy emitted from the ruins, she made up her mind. No matter what, she was going to enter the ruins. She was certain that the inheritance in the ruins was very important to light attribute cultivators. This was an incomparably pure light inheritance. As long as she could obtain it, she would definitely become the true Saint of Light. It was an indescribable longing, enough to make her forget everything. In the next moment, under everyone's shocked gazes, Xiao Soa walked onto the white bridge with ease. Xiao Soa actually walked onto it. Why can she walk onto it, but we can't? Could it be that this white bridge only allows light attribute cultivators to pass? Everyone looked at each other in dismay. This was the most likely explanation they could think of. After seeing Xiao Soa walk onto the Bridge of Light, Bailey Hongzhuang immediately sped up and approached the bridge. Standing in front of the bridge, Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichun looked at each other before the two of them walked onto the bridge together. However, Di Beichun stepped onto the bridge of the darkness attribute. After seeing Bailey Hongzhuang and Nangong walk onto the bridge, everyone immediately understood that their previous guess was correct. Only light and darkness attribute cultivators can pass through. Doesn't this mean that this ruin has nothing to do with us? Nangong Yuqing frowned. If he had thought that this ruin might be another trap, he had completely dispelled that idea. This kind of selection must be for the true inheritance of the ruins. As Bailey Hongzhuang also stepped onto the Bridge of Light, in front of everyone's eyes, 3 other cultivators also stepped onto the bridge. These 3 cultivators were also of the light attribute, but their previous performance was not as outstanding as that of Bailey Hongzhuang. Although the proportion of light attribute cultivators was small, there were still a lot of cultivators who had entered this time. On the other hand, apart from Di Beichun, there was no one else on the Bridge of Darkness. It was not because there were no dark attribute cultivators among the various forces. Instead, it was because cultivators of this attribute had always been despised. It was simply impossible for them to obtain a slot to enter the Immortal Cloud secret realm. Xiaohei, do you have any impression of this bridge? Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows slightly. Xiaohei was the original owner's contracted beast, so she might know something. However, Xiaohei only shook her head and said, I don't know. All right. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled helplessly and continued forward. Soon, she discovered that her footsteps were obstructed. Taking a closer look, she discovered that a stone tablet had appeared in her line of sight on the other side of the Bridge of Light. That's the Sacred Light Tablet. Xiao Shou looked at the stone tablet that had suddenly appeared with an incredulous look in her eyes. Chapter 51:13. Not only Xiao Shou, but the other three cultivators could not contain their ecstasy as well. Such a treasure has actually appeared. This is really a great opportunity for us. At the same time, Di Xiaofeng and the others' eyes were filled with shock when they saw the Sacred Light Tablet and Sacred Darkness Tablet appear at the same time. Sacred attribute tablets of this level are treasures that can only be encountered by chance. I've only heard that such treasures exist in the world, but I never thought that I would see one with my own eyes. Lin Taxing exclaimed. It said that this sacred attribute tablet can help cultivators comprehend attribute power. Moreover, because the sacred attribute tablet is a miraculous object in the world, the power on it is the purest. As long as one has the chance to comprehend it, one's understanding of attribute power will be much stronger than before. Bewitching and the others are really lucky this time. As long as they have the chance to comprehend it in front of the sacred attribute tablet, even if they can't enter the ruins, it's still worth it. Di Xiaofeng's face was full of smiles. Although he did not have such good luck, it was already very good that his younger brother and sister-in-law could have such luck. With Di Beichen and Bailey Hongzhuang's talent, they would definitely become stronger after comprehending it. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the sacred attribute tablet that had suddenly appeared in front of her. Although she did not know what it was, she could tell that it must be an incredible treasure just by looking at the excited expressions of Xiao Shou and the others. As her gaze landed on the holy steel of light, she could feel the power of the origin of light emanating from the steel. A feeling of enlightenment appeared in her mind. It was as if the law of light that she had always been unable to understand had suddenly been touched. It gradually became clear from its initial blurry state. I never thought that the Sacred Light Tablet would have such a powerful effect. A look of pleasant surprise appeared on Bailey Hongzhuang's exquisite face. She immediately quickened her pace, wanting to get closer to the Sacred Light Tablet as soon as possible. Not only Bailey Hongzhuang, but Xiao Shou and the others also had the same idea. Of course, it would be best if they could take the Sacred Light Tablet away. That would be a huge gain. However, just as they were about to get closer, they realized that it was extremely difficult to take a step forward. After walking for a certain distance, they found it difficult to advance any further. Among them, Xiao Shou walked at the front, Bailey Hongzhuang was second, and the other three cultivators were even further behind. Master, I'm afraid that this bridge can't be crossed directly. Instead, it tests the cultivator's understanding of the power of light. Xiao Hei's voice rang out. If you don't understand it well enough, you won't be able to cross this bridge. Upon hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. Xiao Hei's method coincided with her thoughts. Thinking about it, this should be a test from the master of the ruins. When the cultivators outside saw this scene, their eyes lit up with understanding. Although they did not walk on the bridge, they could roughly guess what was going on from the expressions of Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. This bridge that had suddenly appeared was naturally not something that could be casually crossed. Otherwise, what was the point of its appearance? It looks like Xiao Shou's understanding of the power of light is still better than hers. That's right. Bailey Hongzhuang and Xiao Shou are still some distance apart. That's where the difference lies. Chapter 51:14. My eldest sister is the next saint of light. Her understanding of the power of the light attribute is naturally incomparable to that of an ordinary person. Xiao Sudong's face was filled with pride as he looked at Shangwan, Yingying, and the others. Previously, he had been suppressed by these girls until he could not speak. Now, he finally had a chance to refute. Some people think that they're great just because they have the light attribute. But what's the use if their understanding is not deep enough? The group of Shao clan cultivators instantly felt elated, and all the depression they felt from being suppressed earlier dissipated at this moment. In terms of bickering, they were indeed no match for the D family. However, their strength was now so obvious that no one could deny it. Shangguan Yingying and the others were dissatisfied when they heard this. However, the gap between them was indeed there, and they could not deny it. Xiao Sudong, don't be too proud. Hong Zhuang has just arrived in the upper realm not long ago. The time she's been in contact with the power of light is much shorter than Xiao Shou. As long as our Hong Zhuang has some time, it will not be a problem for her to surpass Xiao Shou. Shangguan Yingying lifted her chin slightly. Her fair face was filled with confidence. She knew about Bailey Hongzhuang's talent and comprehension ability. She did not believe that she would lose to Xiao Shou. It's useless for you to say this. Anyway, we can't compete now. Xiao Sudong shrugged. He was still proud of himself. The other cultivators did not choose to leave after seeing this scene. They also wanted to know who the final winner would be. It was rare to have such a lively scene. What was a little more time? Moreover, the elemental energy in the surroundings was so dense. It was a good thing to cultivate here. Xiao Shou's eyes flashed with pride when she saw Bailey Hongzhuang behind her. She was really worried that Bailey Hongzhuang would be stronger than her. Fortunately, the situation was not as serious as she thought. Bailey Hongzhuang did not miss Xiao Shou's expression. However, this was not important to her. After realizing that she could not move forward, she sat down on the bridge and stared at the light sacred tablet in front of her. She began to comprehend it. Such a rare opportunity naturally had to be grasped. Bailey Hongzhuang was surrounded by pure light energy. Looking at the holy tablet of light, Bailey Hongzhuang could feel the existence of the rules. Her understanding of the power of light was not deep enough, but now, it was as if a brand new door had been opened for her. She hungrily comprehended and absorbed the knowledge. Compared to Bailey Hongzhuang, Bewitching's situation was different. Under everyone's shocked gazes, Bewitching walked up to the darkness sacred monument and began to comprehend it. If it was in the past, he would naturally not have been able to do this. However, after obtaining the inheritance of the force of darkness, his comprehension of the force of darkness was much stronger than before. This was because he had received the inheritance of the Dark Saint. After everyone saw Bewitching's performance, they immediately understood. No wonder Bewitching could summon an army of skeletons to help him in battle. It turned out that his understanding of the power of darkness was so deep. Time passed slowly. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. In these 3 days, Xiao Shou had tried to advance 2 steps. However, Bailey Hongzhuang remained in the same place and showed no signs of advancing. Seeing the gap between the two gradually widening, a trace of anxiety appeared on everyone's faces. Chapter 51:15. Although they didn't know if the ruins only allowed those who passed through first or if all light and darkness cultivators could enter, they still didn't know if the ruins only allowed those who passed through first or if all light and dark cultivators could enter. But no matter what, it was always best to be the first to enter. As long as they entered first, they would be able to obtain more treasures. Therefore, Di Xiaofeng and the others hoped that Bailey Hongzhuang could surpass Xiao Shou. Hongzhuang has only been in contact with light energy for a short time. Even if her talent is amazing, she still needs some time to comprehend it. Lin Taxing's face was full of emotion. In fact, none of them could have done better than Bailey Hongzhuang. Xiao Shou had long been designated as the Holy Maiden of Light. Even if she hadn't broken through to the astral boundary, she had already been in contact with light energy. After years of subtle learning and progress, her understanding far exceeded that of ordinary cultivators. Now that Bailey Hongzhuang was compared to Xiao Shou, she was at a disadvantage. Sigh, this is the most disadvantageous part. Lin Qianqian sighed gloomily. If Hongzhuang had stayed in the upper realm for a while longer, it wouldn't have been a problem for her to surpass Xiao Shou. Shangguan Yingying looked at the worried expressions on everyone's faces and couldn't help but say, "Don't be too anxious. She hasn't lost yet, has she? Hongzhuang knows her limits. Maybe she can catch up later." She had been with Hong Zhuang for so long and had some understanding of Hong Zhuang's ability. All along, Hong Zhuang's performance had been very surprising. Even if Hong Zhuang was at a disadvantage now, she was still full of expectations as long as it wasn't the end. That's right. Mo Yunjue nodded, his deep eyes filled with trust and determination. Hong Zhuang had always been the best. Di Xiaofeng and the others looked at Shangwan Yingying and Lin Xianqian in surprise. If it was only one person who said it, they could only encourage them, but it was a little strange that both of them were so determined. Could it be they really believed in Hong Zhuang so much? However, what happened next made them feel helpless. This was because even the 3 cultivators behind Bailey Hong Zhuang had reached her position, and some of them had even surpassed her. However, Bailey Hong Zhuang was still sitting in the same spot and comprehending. She had no intention of moving at all. Xiao So saw that Bailey Hong Zhuang had been caught up by the others, and a trace of joy appeared in her eyes. It seemed that it was impossible for Bailey Hong Zhuang to surpass her in this aspect. As long as she could obtain the inheritance of this ruin, Bailey Hong Zhuang would never be able to shake her position in the future. Thinking of this, she was no longer anxious. She even felt that it would be good to let Bailey Hong Zhuang live a little longer. At the very least, she had to let Bailey Hong Zhuang see her glory. 7 days have passed, and Hong Zhuang still hasn't made any move. It's really worrying. Lin Yi's small face was anxious. Although she also knew that cultivating here was very helpful to herself, she couldn't help but want to see how Hong Zhuang was doing after cultivating for a while. However, except for Hong Zhuang, everyone had made progress, but Hong Zhuang still didn't move at all. Lin Yi, I think you shouldn't be anxious. Bailey Hong Zhuang obviously can't do it. Xiao Sudong's face was full of pride. It's useless for you to be anxious here. It's better to learn from Bailey Hong Zhuang. She has already accepted the reality. Chapter 51:16. Who asked you to be next to me? Xiao Sudong shrugged. Their team was close to each other, so no matter what Lin Yi said, he could hear it clearly. Lin Yi was speechless for a while. Please stay away from me. It's annoying. But I'm not annoyed. Xiao Sudong twisted his body proudly. He looked like he couldn't wait to dance to express his joy. Do you want to die? Seeing this, Ao Lingxiao walked to Lin Yi's side and stood in front of her. His eyes were cold and sharp. Ao Lingxiao, aren't you too arrogant? Xiao Sudong looked surprised. Do you think you're so great just because you have the Di family's thigh? In the next second, Di Xiaofeng also stood up. What did you say? Xiao Sudong was slightly taken aback. I'm too lazy to care about you. As soon as his voice fell, he sat down directly and began to cultivate. What a joke. He was just saying it. Given the current situation, how would he dare to make a fuss with the D clan? Needless to say, he would be the one who would suffer at that time. Looking at Xiao Sudong's appearance, Lin Yi couldn't help but chuckle and said, Second cousin's progress is very fast. According to his speed, I'm afraid it won't take long to reach the entrance of the ruin. Originally, Di Beichun had already walked halfway. After these days of meditation, he was getting closer and closer to the end of the bridge. That's right. Beichun's understanding of the power of darkness is truly eye-opening. Di Xiaofeng looked relaxed for a while. When he first learned that Beichun had the dark attribute, he was worried for a while. The most important thing was not that the dark attribute would be discriminated against by others, but because there was no inheritance of the dark attribute. It was extremely difficult to have a good development in this area. It was just that he didn't expect Beichun to hide it so deeply that they didn't need to worry about him at all. With his previous ability, the number of people who wanted to go against Beichun in the future would be greatly reduced. Uncle and aunt will be very happy when they know. Lin Yi smiled faintly. He said that the dark attribute cultivator has no future. Second cousin is amazing. Xiaofeng, it's been so many days. Why don't the cultivators from the other clans want to leave? Lin Taxing frowned slightly. Logically speaking, at this time, others should be thinking of going to other places in the Immortal Cloud's secret realm to look for opportunities. Di Xiaofeng glanced at the crowd and said, Aren't they waiting for the door to open to see if they have a chance to enter? Whether or not he could find other opportunities in other places was uncertain. However, if he continued to stay here, he might be able to gain quite a bit. In my opinion, I'm afraid it's a little difficult. Lin Taxing stretched his back. He was really curious about the two transformed bridges. I won't give up until all hope is gone. In the blink of an eye, another 3 days passed. Look, Di Beichun is moving again. Is he going to walk directly to the other side? His understanding of dark power is too amazing. Even Xiao Sou is not as good as him. How'd he do it? Hearing these exclamations, Di Xiaofeng and others couldn't help but withdraw from the cultivation state. As soon as they looked up, they found that Di Beichun was walking forward again. Chapter 51:17. Jun Lingxuan and the others stare at this scene in a daze, their eyes filled with shock. Di Beichun's understanding of the darkness attribute is too strong. All these years, I've never heard of anyone with such a high understanding of the power of darkness. Jun Lingxuan frowned. Di Beichun's talent made him feel a strong sense of crisis. He simply couldn't understand. The power of darkness had long been on the decline and was an insignificant existence in the eyes of others. However, why did the power of darkness fall into Di Beichun's hands and erupt with such terrifying power? Di Beichun will definitely be terrifying in the future. Nangong Yuqing's face was gloomy. When he first met Di Beichun, he didn't put him in his eyes at all. However, even he felt that the current Di Beichun was difficult to deal with. As long as this guy didn't fall, his future achievements would definitely be amazing. The two of them looked at each other. If Di Beichun obtained this inheritance, it would really be, just as everyone was guessing whether Di Beichun would be able to pass through, Di Beichun gave them the answer with his actions. Di Beichun walked forward without the slightest intention of stopping and smoothly walked to the other side of the bridge. Then, the sacred steel of darkness disappeared. Seeing this scene, everyone couldn't help but be stunned. Di Xiaofeng and the others were pleasantly surprised. Di Beichun actually passed through. Great! Second cousin is simply a genius. The cultivators from the Di family and Lin family couldn't help but rejoice. Although they didn't know how difficult it was to cross the bridge, Xiao Sou, the next holy maiden of the light, still couldn't cross it. But Di Beichun had already done so. This showed the difference in comprehension ability. After Xiao Sou saw Di Beichun cross the bridge of darkness, a trace of astonishment appeared in her eyes. She couldn't believe that Di Beichun's comprehension speed could be so fast. She knew very well that if she wanted to pass, she had to have a strong understanding of the attribute power. Even with her accumulation over the years, she still found it very difficult to pass. How did Di Beichun do it? After crossing the bridge, Di Beichun was in a hurry. First, he looked at Bailey Hongzhuang on the bridge with a smile on his lips. Then he sat down on the other side of the Bridge of Light. Then, everyone saw that Di Beichun began to comprehend the sacred steel of light. What's going on? Everyone was dumbfounded. This Di Beichun shouldn't be crazy, right? He has the dark attribute. Why is he trying to comprehend the sacred steel of light? Everyone couldn't help but ask. At the same time, Di Xiaofeng and the others looked at each other. Di Beichun's actions really confused them. In my opinion, Di Beichun should be waiting for Hongzhuang. Anyway, the sacred steel of darkness is gone. It's no big deal to look at the sacred steel of light, Morong Jing said thoughtfully. Di Xiaofeng nodded slightly. Now, it seems that this is the only explanation. After seeing Di Beichun's actions, Bailey Hongzhuang also smiled. Only she knew that Di Beichun also needed to comprehend the sacred steel of light. However, she didn't have the chance to comprehend the sacred steel of darkness this time. She wasn't worried about this. After all, Di Beichun was teaching her. Look, Xiao Sou is moving forward again. Chapter 51:18. She was already close to the holy steel, but now she was even closer. Based on this situation, I'm afraid Xiao Shou will pass in less than 2 days. Lin Qianqian's face darkened. Although she had expected Bailey Hongzhuang to lose to Xiao Shou, she did not expect the difference to be so huge. In her opinion, Bailey Hongzhuang would at least be stronger than the other 3 cultivators. Shang Wanningying and Wen Ziren looked at each other. Both of their eyes were filled with anxiety. Don't worry too much. I think Hongzhuang just hasn't made a move yet. Mo Yunjue said slowly. Xiao Shou stopped 3 steps away from the radiant sacred monument. She could feel the distance between them, and the smile in her eyes could no longer remain the same. In just a short period of time, she felt that her understanding of the power of light was much stronger than before. They were no longer on the same level. Looking at Bailey Hongzhuang, who was far behind, she felt even more proud. At this moment, she had finally proven her excellence to everyone. Thinking of this, she could not help but look at Di Beiqian behind the holy stele. She wanted to know what Di Beiqian was thinking. However, Di Beiqian's eyes were fixed on the holy stele, and there was no expression at all. Just as Xiao Shou was secretly thinking, suddenly, a cry of surprise came from behind. Look, Hongzhuang has finally moved. Shang Wanningying looked at the white figure on the bridge excitedly. During this period, all the cultivators had moved forward. Only Bailey Hongzhuang had not moved at all. This made her very anxious. Now that Bailey Hongzhuang had finally stood up, how could she not be excited? Di Xiaofeng and the others also had a glimmer of hope in their eyes. Although they did not know how far Bailey Hongzhuang could go, there was still a glimmer of hope. I really don't know what the Di family is so happy about. Xiao Shou is about to reach the end, and Bailey Hongzhuang is just starting to move forward. Is this something to be happy about? At least this way, they won't lose so badly. Upon hearing this, the faces of the Di family members darkened. Even their initial joy had been diluted by a little. Master, you've been so quiet. I'm afraid everyone is worried to death. A trace of helplessness appeared on Xiao Hei's face. It really admired its master's calmness. In these days, it had noticed the joy on Xiao Shou and the others' faces, as if they thought they were so amazing. It couldn't stand it anymore, but its master was so calm and didn't care at all. It's the same whether it's near or far. Why do you have to run here and there? Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows. She still preferred to concentrate on comprehending. After seeing Bailey Hongzhuang finally take a step forward, Xiao Shou did not take it to heart because she was sure that Bailey Hongzhuang could not surpass her. No matter how hard she worked now, it would be futile. However, when she saw Bailey Hongzhuang walking all the way without stopping at all and gradually getting closer to her, Xiao Shou could no longer maintain the smile on her face. She stared at Bailey Hongzhuang in a daze, unable to believe that she had walked so far. Not only Xiao Shou, but the cultivators outside were also dumbfounded after seeing this scene. Bailey Hongzhuang really doesn't say much, but when she does, she amazes everyone. Chapter 5119. Is it possible that Bailey Hongzhuang will surpass Xiao Shou? If this is the case, then it will be explosive. Qiu Baixin looked curious. He thought that there was no hope for this matter before. He didn't expect such a change to happen in the blink of an eye. How could he not be surprised? Do you think second cousin-in-law is really so amazing? Lin Yi widened her eyes and clenched her hands tightly. Her face was full of expectation. This is quite possible. Shang Wanningying nodded. Hongzhuang would often do things that would frighten people to death. It was not surprising that she would do something like this. If this is true, then it will be amazing. Ha! In everyone's surprised and expectant eyes, Bailey Hongzhuang's footsteps never stopped until she surpassed Xiao Shou. The world seemed to be quiet. Shocked gazes fell on Bailey Hongzhuang. Even if everyone had guessed this possibility before, when it really happened, everyone still felt a little incredulous. Oh my God, she really surpassed Xiao Shou? This isn't an illusion, right? This sentence expressed everyone's thoughts. The difference in this change was too big. I suddenly remembered the time when Bailey Hongzhuang was practicing her singing. Everyone nodded. When Bailey Hongzhuang sang, they thought that she was overestimating herself at first, but the situation later made them feel that they were idiots. Now Bailey Hongzhuang's performance was also a slap in everyone's face. They suddenly felt that if this happened again in the future, they could not laugh at Bailey Hongzhuang. Until the very last moment, no one would know the result. How is this possible? The same thought emerged in the minds of Xiao Sudong, Jun Lingxuan, and others. Logically speaking, this should be impossible. Bailey Hongzhuang directly passed by Xiao Se Wu's side, and under her stiff gaze, she directly walked down the bridge. Master, I think Xiao Sou seems to have collapsed. Xiao He couldn't help but say. Bailey Hongzhuang raised the corner of her lips slightly. I tell you, if you want to hit the other party, you have to do this. Don't even give her a chance to cry. Master, I understand. Xiao He looked as if he had learned something. Let her be proud of herself first. Then she won't even be able to cry. You are teachable. The moment Bailey Hongzhuang walked across the bridge, the light's sacred monument disappeared directly. Everyone only saw Bailey Hongzhuang looking at Di Beiqian with a smile. The two white figures stood together like immortals. Wife, you are here. A gentle smile bloomed on Di Beiqian's peerless face. It was like a spring breeze, sweeping through everyone's hearts. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled sweetly and nodded her head gently. Xiao Sou felt that this warm and harmonious scene was especially unpleasant to the eyes. She immediately stood up and wanted to walk over, but she realized that there was an invisible barrier blocking her way. She couldn't move forward at all. In the next moment, before she could think of a way, a ray of light flashed and the two elemental bridges disappeared. Xiao Sou and the other three cultivators fell to the ground. No matter how they tried to move forward, they couldn't move forward at all. Chapter 5120. It seems that only Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beiqian can enter these ruins. Only the two of them can enter such a large ruin. I'm afraid that the inheritance must be amazing. The cultivators could not help but feel envious. Usually, even if they saw a ruin, they would rush forward with all their might, because there were too many competitors. However, there were only two people in the ruin, and they were husband and wife. How could there be such a good thing? Xiao Sou's expression was extremely ugly. Intense jealousy and unwillingness surged in her heart. She could not accept that such an inheritance would belong to Bailey Hongzhuang. Such a pure inheritance was a priceless treasure. So, take it easy. Jun Lingxuan patted Xiao Sou on the shoulder. Although he was comforting her, his feelings were extremely complicated. Previously, he had valued Xiao Sou because of her identity as the Sacred Lady of Light. If the identity of the Sacred Lady of Light was taken away by Bailey Hongzhuang, then Xiao Sou would really have no place to compare with her. Xiao Sou listened to Jun Lingxuan's comforting words and suddenly felt a warmth in her heart. Her mood calmed down a little. Big sister, don't be sad. Even if they enter, they may not necessarily be able to obtain the inheritance. Look, isn't the door of the ruin still locked? Xiao Sudong's voice rang out. Hearing this, the crowd was stunned for a moment before looking at the ruin. Sure enough, the door of the ruin was still locked, and there was no sign that it would open on its own. Xiao Sou's eyes suddenly lit up, and hope rekindled in her eyes. As long as Bailey Hongzhuang can't enter, then everything will be fine. This ruin is really strange. It's still locked at this time. Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beiqian can't possibly have the key. Just as everyone was shaking their heads, Bailey Hongzhuang suddenly took out a stone. Why did Hongzhuang take out a stone? Is she going to break the door? Lin Qianqian could not help but blurt out. However, after saying this, she found a little funny. Someone had already tried before, and it was impossible to open. In my opinion, this ruin probably belongs to someone. The Sacred Light Monument and the Sacred Darkness Monument from before are the rewards for cultivators who are fated to cultivate. Di Beiqian's eyes flashed with a wise light. This kind of exclusive inheritance has actually appeared before. For example, A senior from a certain family wants to leave it to his family's younger generation. As soon as he said this, the crowd nodded their heads. However, just as they were feeling pity for Bailey Hongzhuang and Deep Beichan, a light ray of light. Immediately after that, they had seen the appearance of the Sacred Lady of Light. And Deep Beichan Di, Beichan Beichan's Hongzhuang Beichan. Of the Lin Qian. The Bailey Hongzhuang actually has a key. Chu Yingming was stunned. Bailey Hongzhuang actually has the key. Not only him, but Di Xiaofeng and others also looked at each other. They didn't know that Bailey Hongzhuang had the key. When did Hongzhuang get the key? Lin Taxing looked puzzled. We looked for it for a long time before, but I didn't see Hongzhuang looking for it at all. I remember that Hongzhuang said before that her stone had a reaction. Is it that stone just now? It seems to be. Lin Yi and others suddenly reacted and couldn't help but laugh. Chapter 51-21. After Bailey Hongzhuang left, there were still a lot of cultivators who were unwilling to give up. However, after struggling for a long time without any hope of entering, they could only give up helplessly. Soon, a lot of cultivators chose to leave. There was no point in continuing to stay here. They might as well leave and look for other opportunities. Murong Jing looked at Di Xiaofeng and asked, Xiaofeng, are you guys staying here or leaving? Di Xiaofeng glanced at his family's disciples before smiling and saying, we'll stay here and wait for Hongzhuang and the rest to come out. Since that's the case, we'll stay here as well, Murong Jing said with a smile. Hearing that, Di Xiaofeng was slightly stunned. We still have to stay in the Immortal Cloud's secret realm for a few more months. Isn't it too much of a pity for you guys to stay here? What's there to pity? Murong Jing did not mind. Anyway, this place is rich in origin energy. Cultivating here is much faster than cultivating outside. Di Xiaofeng looked at Murong Jing deeply. He understood that Murong Jing made such a choice for their safety. At this moment, there would naturally not be any cultivators attacking them. However, as the group left, no one knew if Jun Lingxuan and the rest would choose to join hands to deal with them. Without Di Beichan and Bailey Hongzhuang, their combat power had decreased by a lot. Once they were attacked by a group, he did not have the confidence to win. At this moment, Chun Feng's voice sounded. I didn't expect young Master Murong to also decide to stay here. Murong Jing looked at Chun Feng in astonishment. Could it be that you guys are also planning to stay here? Chun Feng nodded slightly. This place is quite good. The next moment, Murong Jing and Chun Feng looked at each other and a smile of understanding appeared on their faces. Obviously, their thoughts were the same. After seeing Murong Jing and Chun Feng's decision, Jun Lingxuan's expression became unsightly. He did not expect these two guys to have calculated everything. As a result, they indeed had no chance to make a move. The Great Devil Sect and Murong family were not weak. If these four families joined hands, even if they joined hands, they might not be able to win. While thinking, Jun Lingxuan couldn't help but look at Chu Yingming. Ever since he was seriously injured, Chu Yingming's situation has been a bit strange. After the previous battle, almost all of them had broken through. Only Chu Yingming still hadn't made any progress. Chu Yingming, you still haven't broken through? Nangong Yuqing couldn't help but ask, I heard you say that you've touched the bottleneck of a breakthrough. Chu Yingming frowned. I don't know what's going on either. I can clearly feel a bottleneck, but no matter how hard I try, I can't break through. This kind of situation would never have happened to him in the past, because his cultivation talent was extremely strong, far surpassing that of ordinary cultivators. Now, that everyone had broken through, but he hadn't, one could imagine how depressed he was. Young master, could it be that you took a lot of healing medicine when you were injured and that caused side effects? A cultivator from the Chu clan couldn't help but ask. If one consumed too many pills, it was indeed possible for pill toxins to appear and affect the cultivator's breakthrough. I don't think so. Chu Yingming's voice was filled with hesitation. He himself didn't know what was going on. Chapter 51:22. When he was cultivating on weekdays, he felt that everything was going smoothly. But now when he was cultivating, he always felt that something was wrong, but he couldn't tell what was wrong. Could it be that the previous injury was too serious and hurt the foundation? Jun Lingxuan was surprised for a while. Apart from this situation, he really couldn't think of any other situation that would affect a cultivator's breakthrough. As soon as these words came out, Chu Yingming's face suddenly became extremely ugly. As everyone knew, it was a trivial matter for a cultivator to be injured. Almost every cultivator had suffered extremely serious injuries. As long as they recovered, there would be no impact. However, once the foundation was hurt, it was really over. It was almost impossible to break through again. As long as the cultivation did not decline because of this, it was already fortunate. He absolutely could not accept such a situation. Seeing Chu Yingming's face suddenly changed, everyone understood that Jun Lingxuan might be right. Everyone saw how serious Chu Yingming's injury was before. If the foundation was hurt, then they would no longer have to be afraid of Chu Yingming in the future. It wouldn't be long before the all-powerful Chu Yingming would disappear from everyone's sight. With second cousin-in-law's medical skills, she can definitely cure you, and there won't be any problems. However, some people don't believe it. You deserve to be in this situation now. Lin Yi's eyes showed a smug look. When Chu Yingming was injured, she felt very uncomfortable looking at their attitude. Now that she discovered such a situation, she was naturally happy to see it. With Lin Yi's words, Chu Yingming's face suddenly became even more ugly. Yes, Hong Zhuang's medical skills have always been superb. Bailey Yunyan couldn't help but say, I found a lot of doctors at the beginning, and they all said that Shier's illness was incurable, but Hong Zhuang cured her. That's right. Hong Zhuang's medical skills are even admired by Dr. Wu. Lin Qianqian said with a smile. With each sentence, Chu Yingming's face darkened. In the end, it was as black as the bottom of a pot. Jun Lingxuan, Xiao Sou, and Nangong Yuqing's complexions changed quietly. They didn't think much of it before, but after Lin Yi and others mentioned it, this problem seemed to involve them. After all, Bailey Hongzhuang was originally planning to save Chu Yingming, but was stopped by them. Not only that, they also took out healing medicines from their families and gave them to Chu Yingming. If Chu Yingming's foundation was truly damaged because of this, then it would definitely be related to them. I think I'd better go look for opportunities elsewhere. I'll take my leave first. Nangong Yuqing scratched his head, looked around, and quickly left. Let's leave as well. Jun Lingxuan took Xiao Sou and left quickly. If he continued to stay, he was afraid of suffering Chu Yingming's anger. Chu Yingming looked at Jun Lingxuan and others who left quickly. His face was livid. Although his heart was full of anger, he didn't vent it in the end. Before figuring out everything, it was useless to lose his temper. The most important thing was that he couldn't admit it. Once he admitted it, then everyone would know his current situation. Di Xiaofeng and others looked at each other and didn't say anything. Facing such a Chu Yingming, they felt a little miserable. Chapter 51:23. Let's go. Chu Yingming waved his hand and left with his family's disciples. After everyone left, only the cultivators from the 5 great families were left outside the ruins. Di Xiaofeng smiled as he looked at Bailey Yunyan and asked, Yunyan, are you guys not going to look for more opportunities? Bailey Yunyan shook her head. With our strength, it's very dangerous to stay in the Immortal Cloud secret domain. I've already obtained an opportunity before, so I'm not greedy. Instead of going out and facing danger at any time, it's better to stay here and cultivate. Actually, the origin energy here is so dense, and there's even a faint trace of the laws of heaven and earth. Cultivating here is very beneficial for us. A faint smile appeared on Chun Feng's handsome face. Perhaps his choice to stay here was indeed somewhat of a waste of opportunity. However, Di Beichen was his friend and had helped him so much before. He had to take good care of his family's disciples. It was not his style to leave just like that. Chen Feng, Morong, I'm really sorry for wasting your time. Di Xiaofeng's eyes were filled with guilt. He understood their good intentions, but he owed them too much. This is our own choice. You don't have to take it to heart. If you treat us as friends, then there's no need to be so courteous. Chen Feng smiled faintly. After this interaction, he increasingly felt that Di Xiaofeng and Di Beichun, these two brothers, were people worth befriending. That's right, Murong Jing agreed. If you treat us as friends, then there's no need to be so courteous. Seeing this, the smile in Di Xiaofeng's eyes deepened. He nodded and said, since that's the case, then I won't say anything. In any case, I'll remember this friendship in my heart. As everyone left, everyone became more relaxed. The Great Devil Sect's cultivators did not have any objections to Chun Feng's decision. If it wasn't for the Di family, they would have lost their lives long ago. Since their eldest senior brother had made such a decision, they would naturally agree. After some laughter, everyone calmed down and started cultivating. Although they didn't have any other opportunities, if they could improve their cultivation, then this trip would not be in vain. However, just as they were cultivating peacefully, an incomparably profound aura suddenly spread over. Noticing this aura, everyone couldn't help but open their eyes. With this glance, dense excitement and pleasant surprise appeared on everyone's faces. In his line of sight, a stone tablet was suspended in mid-air in front of the ruins. A chaotic yet powerful aura emanated from a stone tablet, revealing a vast and mysterious aura. As soon as they saw the stone tablet, everyone recognized it. This is the Primal Chaos Sacred Tablet. Chen Feng could not help but stand up and stare blankly at the stone stele in front of him that was emitting primal chaos radiance, an expression of disbelief on his face. The tablet actually appeared. Emperor Xiaofeng's face was filled with joy. Our luck is too good. Lin Taking nodded repeatedly. This is a great lucky chance. I heard that it has been many years since the last time the Primal Chaos Sacred Tablet appeared. I never thought that I would have the chance to see it again. Everyone couldn't help but move forward, wanting to get closer to the Primal Chaos Sacred Tablet. However, they discovered that the restriction was still there, preventing them from moving forward. Chapter 51-24. This is too unbelievable. Not only does this ruin have the Light Saint Tablet and Darkness Saint Tablet, it even has the Primal Chaos Saint Tablet. Murong Jing was overjoyed, but more than that, he was shocked. For such a treasure to appear, it was an incomparably shocking opportunity. However, they had already seen 3 of them here. It was obvious how amazing the owner of this ruin was. Looks like Beichen's group has really obtained a huge opportunity this time. Di Xiaofeng's bright eyes were filled with joy and admiration. His lips curled up. Previously, Beichen's group was already extremely powerful. Now that they had obtained such a huge opportunity, their future achievements were needless to say. Not to mention them, even for us, this is an opportunity that we can't ask for normally. Murong Jing was full of smiles. He looked at Chen Feng and said, fortunately, we didn't leave. Otherwise, we would have missed it. The Primal Chaos Saint Tablet contained the power of primal chaos. At the beginning of the world, everything was primal chaos. Later on, it was divided into 9 attributes. However, primal chaos was still the strongest power. The Saint Tablet of attributes could only be comprehended by cultivators with a specific attribute. However, the Primal Chaos Saint Tablet could be comprehended by anyone. Not only that, because it was the power of origin, although the increase in one's attributes couldn't be compared to the Saint Tablet of attributes, it could still allow one to comprehend the laws of heaven and earth. It was said that the Primal Chaos Saint Tablet had disappeared long ago. All these years, no matter how the various major powers searched, they still couldn't find it. Almost everyone believed that they would never be able to see the Primal Chaos Saint Tablet again. However, it had appeared in front of them, just like that. Chen Feng nodded. That's right. It's too much of a pity to miss this opportunity. The cultivators of the Great Devil Sect cheered. Such an opportunity was much more precious than going to other places to look for opportunities. Looking for cultivation resources was only to increase one's strength in other aspects. Comprehending the primal chaos saint tablet was to increase one's understanding of cultivation. Such an opportunity was much more precious than countless cultivation resources. Di Xiaofeng chuckled. Perhaps this is what they mean by kindness begets kindness. After their joy, everyone hurriedly focused on comprehending. No one knew when the primal chaos saint tablet would disappear. Even looking at it for a while would be of great help to them. As Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichun entered the ruins, they discovered that the interior of the ruins was filled with rich light energy. Although there was also the power of darkness, it was undoubtedly much weaker than the power of light. The two of them looked at each other and understood in their hearts that this should be the remains of their mistress. Bailey Hongzhuang found the style of the ruins somewhat familiar. Just like the palace in the Chaos Ring, many of the decorations were similar. However, as soon as they entered the ruins, they entered a huge main hall. The entire main hall was incomparably bright, and there was a pure and holy aura everywhere. Standing there and bathing in the pure and flawless light energy, Lin Li's thoughts seemed to have become transparent. Even things that he couldn't understand in the past seemed to be instantly understood. Wow, I sense a familiar aura. Xiao Hei's eyes shone with excitement as it looked around. An inexplicable sense of familiarity emerged from the depths of its soul. Xiao Bai nodded. It is indeed familiar. This is the aura of the previous owner. Chapter 5125. In the next moment, the white dragon's figure suddenly appeared in front of everyone. When she saw the white dragon's appearance, Bailey Hongzhuang's clear eyes flashed with astonishment. Linger, you can come out now. Previously, due to the restrictive spell, the white dragon had been unable to come out. She never thought that it would suddenly come out now. The white dragon nodded. After entering the ruins, the restrictive spell has disappeared. I can come out now. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. It's probably because the Chaos Ring used to belong to the owner of the ruins. There's only one main hall here. I can't see anything else. What should we do next? Bailey Hongzhuang scanned her surroundings. She had hoped to meet the remnant consciousness of the original owner because they were simply too connected by fate. However, from the moment they had entered the main hall, it seemed that they could not find any other breakthrough. Di Beichun looked around as well. The ruins they had encountered in the past had not been like this. Back when they had entered their master's ruins in the lower realm, they had experienced endless dangers in the beginning before they had finally obtained the inheritance. However, the ruins before them had an unprecedented sense of peace. Even the Bridge of Attributes had not shown any signs of danger. Even though everything before them was unclear, they could sense that the owner of the ruins was very calm. Let's look around. Di Beichun's voice was warm and mellow. He could not find any breakthrough in the situation before them either. However, just as the two of them were about to look around, a melodious voice suddenly rang out in the main hall. I never thought that we would be so fated. The soft and gentle voice was like a spring breeze, stirring up ripples in one's heart. Bailey Hongzhuang's expression turned solemn. Even though she could not see the other party, she still bowed respectfully. Senior, the Chaos Ring has fallen into your hands. That's right. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded. Ever since they had entered the ruins, the Chaos Ring had shown an unprecedented reaction. It was as if it was extremely familiar with the owner of the ruins. Thinking back, after I had left the Chaos Ring behind, I thought that I would never have the chance to see it again. I never thought that someone would bring the Chaos Ring here. This is truly fate. Her gentle voice was filled with sorrow, as if she was recalling everything that had happened many years ago. Her voice was filled with sorrow and sadness. In the next moment, Bailey Hongzhuang took off the Chaos Ring and presented it with both hands. Senior, this is your Chaos Ring. I'm returning it to you. Even though the Chaos Ring had given her a lot of help and she had long gotten used to its existence, Bailey Hongzhuang still had no intention of taking it for herself in front of its true owner. Because of this ring, she came to 1,000 years in the future. She once had resentment, but after meeting Bewitching, her resentment completely dissipated. Even though there were regrets in her heart that were difficult to fill, she was still grateful to the Chaos Ring. Because of it, he was able to obtain everything he had today. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang's actions, the Master of the Ruins chuckled. Since it has recognized you as its master, it's yours. Everything in the world was fate. You were able to obtain the Chaos Ring, and now you were able to come here. Everything was fated. What's more, I've already fallen. What's the point of finding it? I only hope that you can treat them well. Chapter 51:26. But why is Bai Long with you? In the next moment, a figure suddenly appeared in front of Bailey Hongzhuang. Seeing the woman in front of her, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes suddenly showed a trace of surprise. The woman was wearing an elegant white dress, and her hair was as smooth as silk. Her soft facial features were indescribably exquisite, and her entire body exuded a holy light unique to the power of light. At a glance, she looked like a goddess, but also like an immortal. Bailey Hongzhuang had never seen such a gentlewoman. Even if it was just a glance, the other party's temperament was deeply imprinted in her heart. Looking at the figure that suddenly appeared, Bewitching and Bailey Hongzhuang keenly captured the slight fluctuation in the woman's voice when she mentioned Bai Long Sr. This junior is He Xinjuan's disciple. Bewitching cupped his fists and said, Bai Long was rescued by my wife from my master's ruins. As Bewitching's voice fell, Bai Yunjiao's face suddenly froze. She looked at Bewitching in disbelief, her clear eyes rippling. You said, you are He Xinjuan's disciple? That's me. Bewitching nodded and said respectfully, Greetings, master's wife. Bai Yunjiao couldn't help but cover her mouth. Her eyes gradually filled with tears. You are He Xinjuan's disciple. How is he now? Master has already passed away. His greatest regret was that he couldn't be with Master's wife. Bai Yunjiao's eyes suddenly turned red and tears fell from the corners of her eyes. Her hands trembled slightly. Obviously, this result was a big blow to her. It's all my fault. Her light voice was like a spring, pleasant to the ear but full of sadness. Master's wife, Master said that meeting you was his greatest fortune in life. Even if the result didn't go as he wished, he never regretted it. His greatest regret was that he didn't have the ability to change all this and made you suffer. Bewitching stared at Bai Yunjiao. This was the message that his master had asked him to convey. Back then, he didn't understand why his master thought that he would be able to meet his master's wife one day. It wasn't until he understood the relationship between Xiao He, Xiao Bai, and his master's wife that he finally understood. As it turned out, everything had long been predestined. Even though Bai Yunjiao had been trying to calm herself down, she could no longer control herself after hearing those words. She almost burst into tears in an instant. Tears rolled down her cheeks like pearls, but there was still a trace of indescribable joy on her face. Because He Xinjuan's words gave her the greatest comfort. Even if they had already fallen, even if it was impossible for them to be together again, at least they had never regretted it. At least He Xinjuan's love for her was the same as her love for He Xinjun. It had never changed. Seeing Bai Yunjiao like this, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes reddened. Even though she didn't know exactly what had happened back then, she could roughly guess from this situation. This kind of feeling was truly unchanging even in death. Even if they had fallen because of their union, they had never regretted it. Bewitching remained silent. His deep eyes revealed some ripples. When he first heard his master talk about all this, he already knew how difficult it had been for the two of them to walk this path. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.